Garcia, it's Jonathan Agger, Fifth for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Matthew Macklin here in Wembley, ahead of Rematch against Turkey this Saturday night. Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Not bad at all.
Good stuff. Matt, recovered from the weekend, stayed up on comms for Haney Kambosos.
Yeah, it was. Great boxing performance from Haney. The undercard let us down a bit, didn't really? It was a poor undercard, wasn't it? But Haney got the win. He proved that he's as good. Well, he's proved he's backed up some of the hype, and I think he's in pole position now. And the fights with Lomachenko could get made possibly, or Ryan Garcia as well. Huge fights there for him.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the rematch clause. George said he'll activate it, but a lot of people have said there's no real need. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a rematch clause, and he'll probably feel that he can perform better. He might feel that he should have gone for it a little bit more, maybe took more risks. Personally, it's not a fight I'd get excited for to see again. I thought it was pretty conclusive, pretty one-sided, and I think the same thing had happened again.
Do you think, though, seeing what George did, he was, had all the belts. He could have, like he said, taken a voluntary and easier fight, but he went straight. He wanted Lomachenko first, and then he went for Devin Haney. Does he remind you of an old school fighter, that mentality?
I think coming up to this fight, he went on the road, didn't he? He beat Mickey Bay, then I think he beat, he ended up beating Teofimo Lopez. I think he beat Lisalbi, over here before that. So fair play to him. He really earned his shot. He won the title against Teofimo in a fight he was big underdog in. So yeah, he deserved his homecoming, and he had his rematch clause, so he's entitled to exercise that. But from a fan's point of view, it's not a fight I'm particularly excited to see. I think it was pretty conclusive. Do I think he can do better? Probably not. I think he can probably do things differently, but I think whatever he does, Haney will have an answer for him.
Who gives Devin Haney his toughest fight, in your opinion?
Lomachenko, maybe Ryan Garcia. I think Garcia and Haney were they 2-2 as amateurs or something?
I think it's 3-3.
Or is it 3-3? Whatever. So they're equally matched. I think Garcia's got. I don't know if he's as good a boxer as Haney, but I think he's got the same speed as him, even not faster hands, and he hits hard. I think he hits harder. Tough fight to call. Listen, Lomachenko could still be the top dog at lightweight. Don't sleep on him. He had that one fight he had that loss against Teofimo Lopez. But would he have beaten him if they had a rematch? Don't know. Don't sleep on him. He's getting older, and these guys are younger, and they are the future. But Lomachenko could still be the top guy there.
If Ryan Garcia fights Tank Davis, who do you think wins?
Probably Tank Davis right now. He could be the dark horse of them all. Maybe he's the number one lightweight in the world. I think he's the most vicious of them all, definitely.
We've seen Anthony Joshua's now being trained by Robert Garcia. Smart move, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's. You don't want to change everything at this point of your career, so you want some familiarity and something that you're comfortable that you know. So he's kept a lot of his team together with Angel Hernandez. But I think probably to have that bit more experience, and from a stylistic point of view, we know Garcia trained a lot of aggressive fighters, and he needs to be aggressive with Usyk. He needs to close the distance. He needs to get up close and impose his physical attributes. He can't stand back and try and do that in and out, feinting and boxing with Usyk, because he'll be knackered. It's not his game. He's not as quick. He's not as smart. He'll come off second best. But he's physical and he's powerful and he's strong. Get in there, get close, grab a hold of him, rough him up, make it physical, make it a type of fight where your physical attributes give you the advantage, not the disadvantage.
Obviously, August 20 is a reported date, no confirmation yet. Is that enough time? I spoke to Johnny just up there, and he said, well, you don't know how long they've been together just because we're seeing it announced. What do you think? Yeah,
I don't think they've met each other last week and announced it today. They've probably been. That's been something he's been thinking about for a while, I would imagine. So you never know how much impact a trainer can have in 8 weeks or 10 weeks for one fight. But I think he's experienced, Joshua. Very experienced now, and Garcia's really, really experienced. So I think he can definitely have an impact. I don't know if he's going to have enough of an impact for Joshua to beat Usyk. No one knows that. We can only have opinions on it. So and I don't even know what my opinion is. I don't even know what I think about that. I think he could have done a lot worse. I think to go then bring someone like Garcia on board, I think he could have done a lot worse than that.
When we spoke before Gennady Golovkin's last fight against Murata, you said you thought Golovkin was going to win, but you wouldn't be surprised, if that was sort of his last dance. We've now seen he's fighting Canelo Alvarez. What's your opinion on that?
Do you know what? I just think. I know he won against Murata, and he's an all-time great. So even at 40, he still looked good, but he didn't look anywhere near the fighter he once was. And I don't think Canelo's really deteriorated. I think he's still probably in his pomp, where Golovkin nowhere near. So I think Canelo's a strong favourite in that fight.
Haven't really spoken to you since Sky signed all these Olympians, Ben Whittaker, Lauren Price is on this bill. Why do you think quite a few, Fraser Clark as well, why do you think those in particular chose Boxer and Sky over everyone else?
I think they chose Sky in the sense that, Sky is the sports channel, isn't it, in the UK? It's the UK and Ireland. It's, if you want to build your profile, if you want people to see you fight, that's the best place to be. They'll look at, they'll have what the fights they've been watching coming through, the Anthony Joshua all along. It's always been on Sky Sports. Yes, they'll know the Zone. They'll have been watching the Zone the last couple of years as well. But the big nights over the last 10 years or so have all been on Sky Sports. And to become a bigger name, you need people to see you. So boxing can be quite niche. I know when Anthony Joshua boxes or when Canelo boxes, then it crosses over mainstream because these are established superstars that have built their reputation, built their name, built their profile over years. But week to week, boxing can be fairly niche. So, if you want to cross over to the football fan, then you need to be on the channel where the football fans have access to you. So, I think that would have been a big part of their decision making.
I appreciate you're a pundit and not involved in sort of the business side of things, but obviously there was reported figures of how much Sky paid, for example, for Ben Whittaker and how much sort of Macklin were prepared to pay. Going forward though, if you're paying so much for a prospect, surely their demands going forward are going to get bigger and bigger. So how does sort of that work in terms of making a return on that investment?
I mean, the way money's gone in boxing over the last sort of, I don't know, it's been, say the last 5 years, it's just gone year on year on. You keep thinking, this can't continue. You know what I mean? You think the bubble's going to burst here, but it hasn't. And people are still turning at, watching the fights. The viewing figures are doing well. The live crowds are good. So, I mean, I don't know where it ends or how it. You're right though. If they're starting on this much, when they start stepping up for titles, they're going to want more and more. But if they're as good as they think they are, and as everyone else thinks they are, that are backing them and supporting them, and people buy into them, and they produce the goods in the rings, and they build their star quality. Their star quality comes to the surface, and they do become stars. Well, then they'll be generating more money. So I don't know is the answer, but that I'm just throwing a few thoughts out there.
And on this card, Riapol against Turchi. Thoughts on the fight, and how far do you think Riapol's from a world title shot if he wins?
I don't think he's a million miles away. He's but he could fight for a world title now. He beat Philip Smith, he beat Tommy McCarthy. Turchi has only had that one loss to Tommy McCarthy. This is the European titles, aren't they? So, look, he could fight for a world title now, but the idea is to make that fight when you believe he can win it. And he's probably still a work in progress. He's still gaining experience. He was out, obviously. He's been busy lately, but he was out before that, so he's got getting momentum, getting activity. He's improving. He's with Hernandez up in Loughborough. He's got AJ and Fraser Clark around him, so their experience will be rubbing off on him. So I just think he's winning. He's improving. His profile's growing. Yes, if the right shot comes up, take it. But you know, he's moving along nicely. He's making good momentum, and Turchi's another test, another fight that'll give him a few problems, but one that ultimately I think he comes through.
And just finally, we've seen Ricky Hatton's amazing transformation for this exhibition with Barrera. What have you made of that? And are we ever going to see you in an exhibition?
What about my transformation? No, I mean, never say never about anything, but I don't have any plans for one. But listen, I think it's been brilliant for Ricky because it's an exhibition bout. He's achieved great things. Barrera's achieved great things. They're friendly, but it probably gave him something to focus on. And you've seen the shape he's got into. He probably needed something to focus on in order to give him the motivation to do that. Hopefully now he keeps in that kind of shape and has a bit more balance, and it'll be a good thing for him. I don't know if he'll do another one after this, but hopefully he stays in physical shape, not to fight, but just for his own physical health and well-being.
Matt Macklin, thanks for talking to pro boxing fans ahead of Rematch versus Turchi on Sky Sports this Saturday.
Cheers.